Hello and welcome to today's lesson where we're looking at the ladder of inference. Now, the ladder of inference is a tool that can help you avoid your biases and beliefs, enabling you to make better decisions. It can be particularly useful to stop you from making rash decisions. Now, imagine you're the owner of a small e-commerce company. You hire a freelance web developer, Mike, to build you a new website, which you want to launch on January 1st in the hope of skyrocketing your sales over the next year. Now, the deadline to launch your new site is getting close, and Mike has failed to respond to an email you sent him within 24 hours for the third time in a row. You have to call Mike each time this happens to follow up. Now, you're frustrated with Mike's repeated failure to respond to your emails, you're worried you'll miss your deadline, and your big plans to boost sales next year will be immediately behind schedule. So you decide that you'll have some strong words with Mike about the importance of professionalism. And if that doesn't get him to perform better, you're going to fire him and find somebody who understands the importance of responding promptly and being professional. Now, doing this seems perfectly reasonable to you as a frustrated business owner. But what if you had avoided jumping immediately to action and instead taken the time to uncover more facts? Well, in that case, you'd have discovered that Mike is having email problems and that your emails are being inexplicably and automatically moved to his spam folder. Now, Mike is a one-person business and is stressed because his email is playing up while he's working hard to launch your website on time. Would you still choose to read Mike the Riot Act if you knew this? Probably not. Now, if this example is familiar to you and you've been annoyed with someone's behaviour only to realise later there were extenuating circumstances, then you're guilty of climbing the ladder of inference. So what is the ladder of inference? Well, the ladder of inference, sometimes called the process of abstraction, is a tool that can help you understand how you think and make decisions, and understanding how you think can help you make better decisions. You can think of the ladder of inference as a ladder made up of 7 rungs. And for every action you take, you progress through all 7 rungs, usually without even realizing it. So at the top of the ladder are the actions you take. You take these actions based on all the other ladder rungs, starting with the lowest rung. Now, each of us, as I said, performs these steps instantly without realizing it multiple times per day. Let's walk through what happens on each step of the ladder. We'll do this quickly and then look at an example to bring the ladder to life. So step 1 is observe, where you observe the world around you, the reality and facts of the situation. In step 2, you filter out the data you think is irrelevant to your situation. So you essentially cherry pick what's important based on your beliefs and experience. In step 3, you interpret your selected data by adding meaning to it. Now that you've added meaning, in step 4, you make assumptions or apply your previous assumptions or beliefs. In step 5, you draw conclusions about what the situation means by combining your facts, meaning, and assumptions. In step 6, based on the conclusions you draw, you begin to form beliefs. You carry this embryo of a belief into future situations, and each time you draw a new conclusion using this belief, you reinforce it. So in that way, you create a negative cycle called a reflexive loop, whereby you make decisions based on your beliefs, and each decision you make reinforces your beliefs. Finally, based on the culmination of all the previous steps, you take what you believe to be the right course of action for you. Now, unfortunately, you often act based on your beliefs and assumptions rather than seeking out and considering all of the facts. Ultimately, this results in you choosing the wrong course of action. So with all that out of the way, let's jump in and look at an example. So in this example, imagine that you're meeting your friend Neve for lunch. So at the bottom of the ladder, you agree to meet Neve for lunch at 1 p.m. These are the facts. On the second step of the ladder, you select the data that Neve has arrived 15 minutes late, but hasn't apologised. On step 3, you add meaning by noting that this is the 3rd time in a row that Neve has arrived late for lunch. In step 4, you assume that Neve doesn't care about you enough to bother being on time. This is an assumption because you don't actually know what Neve thinks about you. In step 5, you conclude that it's not a good use of your time to meet Neve again because she doesn't value your friendship. In step 6, your conclusion that Neve doesn't value you becomes a belief. And finally, towards the end of lunch, when Neve asks when you'd like to meet again for lunch, you take action by informing her that you're really busy at the moment, so don't think it's a good idea right now. Here, you've taken the best action for you based on all the previous steps of the ladder. So let's look at a different example. This time we're going to look at a more deep-rooted example. So imagine you work in an office environment and your boss offers you a chance for promotion. In this case, you might move up the ladder like this. So step 1, your boss offers you a new job as head of statistics. That's the facts of the situation that you observe. Step 2, you select data by worrying about the word statistics in the job title because you've never been good at math. In step 3, you add meaning by thinking your bad math could set you up for failure and humiliation. In step 4, you assume you've been able to hide your poor math until now, but this job will completely expose you. In step 5, you conclude you're not going to take the job. In step 6, your conclusion reinforces your belief that you're bad at math. And in step 7, you take action by telling your boss you don't want the job. Now, deep-rooted negative beliefs such as I'm bad at math can span all the way back to childhood, be very difficult to spot, and take a lot of hard work to rectify. These beliefs can come about for any reason. Maybe all it took was a teacher or parent flippantly saying that you're not good at math to ingrain the beginning of the belief. After that, you spend the rest of your life making decisions based on your belief that you're not good at math. So for example, maybe you choose to study humanities at university rather than a STEM subject because of that belief. But are you actually bad at math? Maybe you just formed a flawed belief early on and have never taken the necessary steps to test out that belief. Perhaps with some hard work, maybe you could enjoy math after all. So how do you avoid climbing the ladder of inference? Well, there are 3 simple steps you can take. Firstly, reflect. So take time to reflect on the soundness of your logic before making any decisions. Do this from a position of understanding that your reasoning may be flawed because you're missing some of the facts. 2, share. So take time to share with others the decision you're about to make and the logic behind it, why you're making this decision. Now, doing that will trigger a conversation, and that's going to allow others to provide input that you may not have been previously aware of. And finally, 3, ask. So take the time to ask others what they are thinking. So let's return to our original example where you'd ended lunch without agreeing to meet Neve again. How could you have used the techniques above to reach a better decision? Well, you could have asked Neve any one of these questions to find out what she was thinking. Any of these questions could have opened up the conversation and helped you discover why Neve was late for lunch. So the ladder of inference outlines the sequence of mental steps we all go through multiple times daily. To get the most from this tool, you don't actually need to remember any of the steps from the ladder. All you need to remember is to make the logic behind your thinking, your reasoning, obvious to others. So if you're thinking of taking action, let people know what action you're thinking of taking and why. This will improve communication by opening a dialogue, helping you discover if your proposed action is indeed the best course to take or whether other facts emerge to make you change your mind. So that's it for this lesson. Really hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.